Hello YouTube and welcome back to another episode of Invisible Head Investing. I'm the Invisible Head Investor, and today we're talking about what Tesla is doing to reduce costs in manufacturing and produce their vehicles more cost effectively and cheaper to blow away their competition. So before we get started, found that we've got little things that make me kind of excited. So have a look at this, and it doesn't look like much, but these pieces plus 4 studs are not in the product anymore. Now, what does that mean? Well, for one thing, they found out that, let's have a look over here, they found out that this hole doesn't really do anything for them. That's where you would have found this push nut. It would have gone in there where now they have a blob of stuff, and you'd push it, and then it would click in place and hold this little loose tab here. But it's not there anymore. If you look over here, you can see the same thing. It's not there anymore. Okay, so that's not a mistake on one side of the car. That's something that's been eliminated. And quite frankly, when I look at the short distance between here and here, it doesn't make sense to me to want to put any more componentry in. Now, on the old vehicle, there was a stud, which I can't find anymore because it's not there. And then what I would do is I'd put these push nuts on. Whoops, I got 2 of them, lovely. I put these push nuts on, shove them in place. So the studs have been eliminated, the push nuts have been eliminated, and now what we're looking at is a little bit of a savings. Okay, so that was a clip of Sandy Monroe talking about what Tesla has done to eliminate some unnecessary parts from their vehicles in order to reduce costs. So before we continue with the video, let's talk a little bit about who Sandy Monroe is. Sandy Monroe is an automotive engineer who specializes in machine tools and manufacturing. He had worked for Ford in 1978, and then in 1988 he started his own company. So he was with Ford for about 10 years or so, and he started his company called Monroe and Associates. Now his company specializes in lean design, tearing down automotive products to study and suggest improvements and innovations. So what Sandy does is he'll bring in a vehicle, he'll basically tear it apart, break down every single component of the vehicle, study how the car is manufactured, and look for ways that the vehicle can be manufactured more efficiently while eliminating unnecessary parts and reducing manufacturing costs, which will increase a company's bottom line or help them to produce vehicles cheaper and more cost effective. What many OEMs out there try to do is they try to reduce their costs, but not necessarily reducing their prices so that they can increase their profit margin or their bottom line. What Elon Musk wants to do is he wants to bring costs of electric vehicles down so that they're affordable for pretty much anyone. You know, the Model 3 is roughly about $35,000 now for the base model, and he's going to be working on what a lot of people speculate will be called the Model 2, which will be a $25,000 vehicle, which will completely give Tesla a huge competitive advantage over competitors, especially the ones producing ICE vehicles, because we're going to get to a point where companies producing ICE vehicles are going to phase out. These legacy car manufacturers who are not focusing on innovation and ways to create electric vehicles are simply going to go out of business, in my opinion. I'd be very surprised if they survive another 10 years based on what the current trends are in the market. Many OEMs out there, when they need to make changes to their production, they spend a lot of time and have to go through a lot of red tape to make a simple decision. Tesla doesn't do that. If Elon Musk sees something that needs to be changed in order to improve manufacturing and efficiency, he's going to do it. That's why Tesla's moving so much faster than its competition, more efficiently, more quickly, and the longer these OEMs and legacy companies take to convert from ICE vehicles to electric vehicles, the further and further behind they fall. because Tesla is moving at lightning speed right now. So let's get back to the video. Let's see what Sandy says about the reduction of cost for each one of those components and what that means in the long run.
Now what we're looking at is a little bit of a savings. So let's go over to the little board here and I'll show you what comes up. Okay, so let's have a look at what the cost might be. So the first thing I want to do is I want to put down the four welded construction studs. So these studs are taken and pushed into the steel frame, and that's what kind of you're going to be putting the push nuts on. So there's four of those, and we're going to say that for all those four, there's probably going to be about a dime's worth of cost. And then you've got four push nuts, and they're plastic, okay? And we're going to just say that all four of those are probably worth about 2 cents. And then you've got those two push pins. The two push pins are sitting there, and they're going to be about 2 cents as well. Okay, so so now we're looking at what about the labor. So the labor for everything there is probably going to be maybe a little more than this, but we're going to say that it's 3 cents. So for that, it gives us a total of 17 cents, right? 17 cents. And does that sound like it's worth your while to do anything? I mean, 17 cents is nothing, right? Times 400,000, because they're going to make 400,000 of these things a year. So if we make in 400,000 times 0.17, that's going to give us $68,000. So that means that's one free car. But you run these things for about 5 years. So what happens if we take the $68,000 times 5 years? Well, that's going to give us $340,000. Okay.
So as Sandy was saying, 17 cents on 400,000 vehicles is roughly $68,000 a year. And since these production runs run about 5 years, you're looking at a savings of $340,000 a year. And Tesla's not, reducing costs, eliminating small pieces like that on just the Model 3. They're doing that on all their vehicles. Let's assume that these same parts are in all the other vehicles that they produce, and they produce 1 million vehicles in 2021. Now you're looking at a cost savings of $170,000 for the year, just for eliminating those little components that Sandy was talking about, which equates to $850,000 over a 5-year span. Okay, so another area I want to talk about where Tesla's going to basically save a massive amount of money is in their battery cell technology. Now, back in September on Battery Day, Tesla announced that they were going to be releasing the 4680 battery cells and not use the 2170 cells anymore. The 4680 battery cells have 50% more energy capacity, 6 times more power, and they offer 16% more range. So this is great for the consumer, but it's even better for Tesla because it's greatly going to reduce their manufacturing costs by roughly about 56% based on what I've seen. So let's take a look at one of the main reasons that these battery packs are going to be cheaper to manufacture. The tabless architecture of the new 4680 cells also has a direct impact on improving manufacturability. Not only does the tabless design eliminate the need for a tab, it eliminates the need for the production lines to pause to add the tabs. The new tabless cells eliminate this bump in the road, enabling a manufacturing line that is less prone to manufacturing defects as it hums along, rolling up its spitting out massive 4680 cells. Based on the old design of the batteries, you needed roughly 5 times as many 2170 cell batteries to make the battery pack that goes into the Teslas. Now with the 4680 cells, you're reducing the amount of batteries that you need. So just assembling the battery pack alone is going to save you a lot of time and money in manufacturing and labor costs, because you're using less product and less labor to build these packs. The second thing is these tabs. You don't have to take the time to individually weld a tab onto each individual battery. On average, the original packs ranged between $10,000 to $12,000 in cost just to manufacture, and that's depending on the range of the vehicle. The more range, the more batteries going into the pack. Now with the new packs, you're basically reducing that cost by 56%. So now you're paying about $4,400 to $5,280 per battery pack depending on range. So if we scale that out, if Tesla never came out with this new design for the battery pack, their annual cost on these batteries on 1 million vehicles would range between $10 billion to $12 billion. But now with these new battery packs, their costs have dropped roughly down to between $4.4 billion and $5.28 billion. That's a massive, massive savings in production and cost savings. That means that Tesla can produce these vehicles cheaper and probably still increase their bottom line and their profit margins. Number one, they'll be able to sell more vehicles. It's economies of scale. The more vehicles that you can produce at a cheaper cost, the more demand there is for them, which means that more people will be buying these vehicles. So they have to ramp up production to keep up with demand. And then as Sandy said, these production lines run 5 years, but it doesn't really matter here because Tesla's going to be using these new battery packs in all their vehicles. And who knows, as time goes on, they might continually make improvements on these battery packs to continue to reduce the cost of them. Okay, the last part that I want to touch on is the Giga Press and how that's going to help Tesla cut costs on manufacturing. So how do these Giga Presses work? Well, shots of molten aluminum weighing 80 kilograms are injected into the cold chamber casting mold with a velocity of 10 meters per second. The cycle time is 80 to 90 seconds, allowing the output rate of 40 to 45 completed castings per hour, or 1,000 castings per day. So before I continue, this Giga Press is going to eliminate roughly 2,000 individual components used in producing these vehicles to one big cast, one piece. That means there's a lot less labor being used to fabricate and add all these components individually to the vehicles, and by just producing these casts and automating the whole process, it's going to save a huge amount of money. There's also talks of these Giga Presses producing parts for the front chassis of the vehicles as well. So far, Tesla has set up 2 Giga Presses on the grounds of the Fremont factory. Over in China, 3 other Giga Presses have been spotted in the Giga Shanghai complex. So that's a total of 5 Giga Presses between those 2 factories. What is rather remarkable is that Tesla has several more Giga Presses on order. Sandy Monroe, in a recent interview with electric vehicle advocate Sean Mitchell, noted that he has heard through the grapevine that Tesla has ordered 11 more units of the Giga Press. Previous reports point to Giga Berlin receiving 8 of the machines, and a flyover of Giga Texas site seems to reveal 3 isolation pits for the monster machines in the area. That's massive news, okay? If this is true about 11 more Giga Presses being ordered by Tesla, 8 of which are going to go to Giga Berlin and 3 are going to Giga Texas. So right now they have 5 in use, they have 3 in Giga Shanghai, they have 2 in the Fremont plant, with 11 more coming. That's 16 mega presses that are going to be producing roughly 1,000 chassis per day. That's 16,000 chassis per day that all these Giga Presses are going to be producing. It's going to help Tesla ramp up production massively while reducing costs. Now, I don't know how much these presses cost. I don't know what kind of a capital investment that Tesla has to make on these presses, and I'm not sure how much they're going to save by producing these chassis for their vehicles and eliminating all the components. But as you saw earlier in the video, just those small pieces that Sandy Monroe was holding was going to save Tesla 17 cents per. That's just a small fraction of the pieces being eliminated. If you're going from roughly 2,000 pieces down to a few pieces, you can imagine what the cost savings per vehicle are going to be. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you thought that the content in here in this video was informative, and if you'd like to see more content. Also leave comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on Tesla's cost-cutting efforts, and let me know if there's any other topics that you want me to cover in future videos. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.